Hello, everyone. I am Lynn, and thank you so much for joining me today. I got a lot of positive feedback for the live stream I did last Wednesday, so I thought if everybody enjoyed it, I would make this a regular thing. And you'll have to let me know in comments if you would like to see this every Wednesday. And of course, I'll post a copy of the live stream itself so you can go in and view it in case noon doesn't work for you. And then also, too, I know I'm dealing with time zones everywhere. Let me know how that works out doing noon on Wednesday. I thought it would be kind of a fun way to take a break, coffee, tea, beverage of your choice, and sit down, unwind, maybe collect together with a psychic focused community. So, without further ado, let's get to this. I was really thinking about what I wanted to do, and also sorry about the background noise here. Not only is it torrential rain, I think I hear a siren, a weekly siren. So maybe noon isn't the best time, but I hear a siren going off in the background, so that should be done momentarily. So, like I was saying, I was really trying to think about what I would like to talk about today. I'm wanting this community to grow, and I love the feedback and the just collective talk back and forth. The Telegram channel is great. The blog has been great. We comment, we share, all of that, and I want to grow that. I want to keep that coming, and I thought going in line with that, it would be fun to talk about some of the readings I've done recently. And recently I did last week, I believe it was Friday, the reading on Womb Cave. I'm so curious how many of you saw that reading and the photographs tied to it. Basically, what it was is someone had asked me about this cave, and there was a legend out there that this cave was actually, a petrified giant woman because the cave was uncannily the shape of a lot of female anatomy. And I remember when I went in and I did the reading, I was really blown away by it because I didn't really know what to expect. When I go into a reading, I clear my mind, but I'm very open-minded. I try to set all bias aside. If I feel like it's creeping in, I have to reset myself because you can't get an accurate read if you have any kind of bias. That's your ego. So when I sat my bias aside and I really opened up to any idea and any information that would come forward, I did get that this cave was indeed a petrified woman, and she died giving birth. And just the way the environment was, I saw something about volcanoes and eruptions. It allowed this organic material to petrify and create the shape of a woman's womb. And the photographs, um, I remember at one point when I was looking at them and I was posting them on the blog, it was so uh, representative of a woman and her anatomy that I wondered how well received it would be by people and what their comments and thoughts would be as they viewed it. So, yes, I do believe there was a time in our Earth's history where things were much different, and we had giants that roamed among us. I saw that many of them, they, for whatever reason, did not have the intellect of their more human as we know counterparts, and so really was a force to reckon with. The humans that we know today, 5, 6 feet tall, they seemed like they had the um, intelligence, and the humans, or the giants rather, they were the brute force. And back in the day, that's what happened. So if you haven't had a chance to check that reading out or look at pictures of Womb Cave, I would highly recommend it because it completely blew my mind away. And that's one of the things I love about the blog and this community is just the learning and learning about new things and opening our minds up to other ideas and other concepts that are out there. And another thing I wanted to address when I'm doing one of these live streams, I don't know how familiar you are all with this, but on the side of the screen, people are able to type to you. So if you see my eyes going back and forth, I'm trying to see what the comments are if someone's asking me something. But So I apologize for that if my eyes, you see me going back and forth. But what I like to do is pull some questions that each of you have, because that's how the great conversations start. And so last week, someone had asked me about the straw man theory and what I thought about that. And even though I had not done over the past week a reading on that, I did put some thought to that. And that aligns a lot with the sovereign citizenship. And one of the reasons I did do about the, what was it called? The common or universal law that's out there, because there was a theory that some people had been arrested due to a lot of this beer bug stuff. And so that kind of led down that spiral of thought. Well, I wanted to think about that, the sovereign citizenship. And, is our legal system, are you able to skirt around that? Are you able to understand the language in such a way that laws apply, but maybe don't completely apply to you, or that you're able to get away with stuff such as, there's people that always talk about if you're driving in a car and say you get pulled over, there's something you say that, you're a driver if you're doing it for pay, but you're just a traveler if you're doing it out of leisure. And if you're a traveler, then different laws technically apply to you versus if you are a paid driver, or if, a police officer was to say something to you and they ask you, if you understand. And if you say yes, then it means you have a verbal agreement with that officer, versus if you say, I do not stand under, then that's a different type of language. And supposedly they're not allowed to apply certain laws to you because you are not engaging in a contract by your agreement or your admittance. There's a whole thing out there. And so what this thought is, conspiracy theory or not, I was wanting to really think on it, because the whole straw man concept had me go down that line of thinking after last week's chat. And so I started thinking about the sovereign citizenship. Is that really a thing? Is that a myth? Does it apply? Does it actually really work? So when I was focused on it, our language, it is so corrupt. If you think back to Shakespearean times, we talked in thee and thou, and everything was this proper English. And since then, it's been taken over. And it is exactly spelling. They are spell casting. We have words that mean more than one thing. We have words that sound the same that are spelled different. It's all this casting and this manipulation of our language to further entrap us. But at the same time, are these sovereign citizens able to pick that apart and really understand and not subscribe to the language? And are they allowed or able to get away with things because they don't? When they go into a court of law, if a flag is hung a certain way, is there some maritime process that's going on? Are they, and then even just something as simple as swearing on a Bible. Why would you swear on a Bible? You're raising your right hand. Does that mean you're relinquishing your rights? There's so much language and symbology with everything. Are people out there able to really understand this and really able to escape what's going on? So, I actually know someone who says that they have beat the system in that way, that they've gone into a court of law and they understood what it was, and they were able to call things out. Of course, you can't record stuff because they don't let you record anything to have it as evidence, but they were able to call things out that just did not resonate. And he was very well versed with the language and what things meant. So part of me was like, okay, well, is this really working? Are they letting people off? Or what's going on here? Is this something worthwhile to explore and to learn more about, and how our language is so manipulated in things that by understanding it and not allowing the language to impact you or cast its spell onto you, can you get away with stuff? And I got that to some degree, yes and no. And it's split, because when I was focused on this topic to understand how it works and how this language and the spell casting, and can we break the spell? Can we become free of it and become truly sovereign from all of this, I got that if you, um, so I get things in terms of symbols. And one of the symbols that I got when I was focused on this was if you've ever seen the Libra scales, the old timey scales that go back and forth. And I always interpret that as a balance. There is a balance between it. So it's not necessarily a yes or a no or a right or a wrong. It's not a very binary, cut and dry answer. Everything is a balance that just keeps juggling back and forth. And the way that it came through to me was it depends on the scenario. For example, say you were doing something and it's not incredibly erratic. You get pulled over in the car. Maybe you're speeding a little. A cop comes up to you and they say, "Do you know why you were speeding?" Depending on the cop and their mood, first of all, and depending on what it was that you were doing and your level of politeness back to them and the energy and the vibration that you're giving off, if you say, no, you just say, "No, I do not know why you pulled me over." And you start to work the language back with them. A lot of times, if it's not worth their time or effort, they will let you go just because they don't want to deal with the hassle. They don't want to deal with the verbal back and forth. If you say, "No, I do not stand under," and you start going on with that language, it's really a gamble because it's their interpretation if they want to give you a warning and let you go because they don't want to deal with it, or if they're ready to take you on, they could make an example of you. So I don't see it as a necessarily free pass because you understand the language. I think it's very interesting. I think it sheds a lot of light on just how corrupt our whole system is. But I don't know that you're going to completely get away with whatever it is that you're doing. So I would be so curious because I was thinking about this straw man, sovereign citizen, all these different kind of things, what your situation is and what do you know anybody that's actually got away with something and maybe even documented it? I would love to hear from you, and please by all means share a link or share any info that you have, because I think that's one way to fight the system is to get more clarity on how it's working and how they are casting these spells upon us. But at the same time, is it really working? We have to very much come together as a collective in order to evoke change with regard to that. And it has been many decades, if not centuries, of this full out corruption. So yeah, very, very interesting topic. And like I said, I'd love to hear your feedback on that. I want to say just a quick shout out to everybody. I see all the text coming through or the thread coming through. So I just want to take a second to acknowledge everybody who took time out of their day to log on. I, again, really appreciate it. Please go in when you get a chance and give me a thumbs up and like my videos. It just really does help me out. I'm fighting this censorship animal like never before. It's unreal the amount of censorship that's out there, most definitely. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy day. And today another topic I wanted to bring up because I am so passionate about this. I'd had someone and they wanted a reading and they wanted to know my perspective on conjurers. And I don't know how many of you saw my post, and this was just a post that I had done this morning and I put it out there. And what it was is they wanted to know, and they were very interested in conjurers that are online. And apparently there's people out there, which this was new to me. I know there's people that dabble in all kinds of spiritual stuff and all kinds of, whether it's black magic or curiosity or information out there. But I didn't realize that there were people out there that had a paid service that would conjure a spirit and tie it to an object. And in this question, when the person posed it to me, they said that they could even attach it to your spirit and wanted to know, is it safe? And that this person had dabbled with it. And when I did that reading, I sometimes get really, I guess, emotionally wrapped up in a reading because I feel this thing of like, I want to protect people. I want to share information. And so immediately when I heard this and I realized there's people out there paying to attach spirits to things and people and all of that, I got, wow, I felt so, in the reading itself, my guard went up. I just was like a wall. I thought, man, I don't want to tap into anything like that. I don't want a conjurer anywhere near my energy or anywhere near my being. And, this person, I think what really happens out there is people, they try so hard to make that connection to the other side. And they would use things like spirit boxes to try to, maybe hear a message. They will use Ouija boards to try to get a message. They will use all this different stuff to open up gateways because they want communication from the other side. And in this situation, they wanted to feel like this presence was tied to them, whether they put it in jewelry or something like that. And I just want to say, when you have someone on the other side, a guide, an angelic force, a high vibrational being, anything like that, that is working in your greater good, you don't have to have it tied to an object. You do not have to have it tied never to your spirit. It will be there. These beings on the other side, they want to help you. They want to be around you. They're just waiting for you to call upon them. You don't need to have a third-party person put something or tie something. Whoever's meant to be there to help you, you have a whole team on the other side wanting to help you in various areas of your life, whether it's relationships or an illness or family or a job or anything that you're enduring. There is a guide or a being on the other side that's there to look out for you. They just want you to call upon them in your head, in your mind, say, whoever's in my greater good on the other side, high vibrational being, please come forward. Please come help me out. Maybe you're praying to an angel, whatever it may be. Put the intent for a high vibrational person, being, entity, whatever on the other side to come in and help you. You don't need that from some other person tying it to an object. And I think what really threw a flag up for me was when you are trying to conjure, and just that word itself feels very low vibe, but when you're conjuring this being, you don't know what's going to come through. There are beings on that other side just waiting for a beacon to be able to come through. And unless you are a participant in this and you know their process and you know that it's only high vibrational beings or whatever it may be, you really don't know what's coming through. It could be good or bad, but most likely it's going to be pretty low vibe because the high vibe beings don't require that. They don't need it. They're not looking for a beacon. They are just looking for a person to call upon them and looking for something and help in their highest and best good, not just anything and everything. The anything and everything, they go to the beacon. They go to just an open portal and attach itself. And the trouble is when that happens, sometimes they can be very difficult to get rid of because they sought long and hard to get here, and that's all they want is to be heard. So they're not going to easily just move away. And I had a personal situation with this when I was younger, and I was very naive. For any of you who read my book, you've already heard about this story, but I'll go ahead and just share it with you. So I'm sorry if this is a repeat for you, but I was probably 13 years old, and in the morning I would walk to school. And I remember walking to school and it was trash day. And well, actually, I need to back up because that's kind of the end of the story. My brother and I, for Christmas, one of the things I wanted was a Ouija board. I did not know any better, and I heard all about Ouija boards, how cool they were. You could talk to spirits on the other side. I didn't know if I believed in it or not. I didn't know what I thought about it. I was a little nervous about it, but nonetheless, I was super curious too. Also, they sell them in the gaming aisle. So how dangerous can this thing be when it's right beside the Monopoly games, right? So I asked for it for Christmas, and I get it. And I remember I got it, but I was afraid to open it. So I tucked it up in my closet, and It was probably 3 months later. I think I was spring cleaning the closet, was taking things out, and there's the Ouija board. It still had the cellophane wrapper on it because I wanted it, but I was a little scared of it too. My brother, he walks in, the neighbor kid, he was at the house too, and they all wanted to open it. And I'm like, later. I remember just kind of shoving them off because I didn't really want to open it. I was scared of what would happen. So they kept harassing me, and finally I'm like, all right, we'll do it. We went out in the driveway and we started messing around with this thing. We didn't know what we were doing. We were kids, like I said, maybe 13 years old, if that. And so it started working, and this really creepy spirit came through talking about murders, what he did with his family, his name, just all this stuff. And my brother and I kept accusing each other, like, you're making this up. No, you're making this up. You're pushing the board. And we weren't. And he wasn't, and I wasn't. And we got really scared, and we're like, what is this thing? We were really freaked out, and we're like, we got to get rid of it. So we threw it in the trash. And I walked to school in the morning, and I made sure it was tucked away in the trash on trash day. Get home from school, walk in the garage, go to take my shoes off, look up on the shelf, and there's the board. And we're like, how in the world did this get here? We threw it in the trash. I'm asking my mom, did you take this out of the trash? Did you think I mistakenly threw it away? And she's like, no. So I never knew how it got there. And then, my brother were accusing each other of playing tricks on each other, and we were not. So for a week, it sat in the garage. I was terrified to bring it back into the house, and threw it in the trash on trash day. On my way walking out, heading to school, came home, it was on the shelf again. By this time, we're like, who is messing with us? We're accusing my mom. We're accusing, someone playing a joke on us, the neighbor kid, like, what is going on? But our garage is locked. And how did it get from the trash can, which I saw it visibly in the trash can when I went to school, to getting back on the shelf? We're completely terrified at this point. Don't know what is going on. So when we got home from school, we took it with some lighter fluid and we burnt the thing in a cornfield because we couldn't get rid of it. And luckily for us, nothing ever came out of it as far as like attaching to the house, to ourselves. And I wouldn't have even known how to clear it if it would have happened. And my parents at the time, they didn't believe in a lot of spiritual stuff. So it was basically, if weird things happen, you kind of made it up. At least, in their mind, they just thought that stuff was pretend. So lucky for us, we were able to get rid of it. But when I hear about the conjuring and all of that kind of stuff, I just, in my mind, go to that place and that memory and what that is, and bringing through stuff from the other side and not knowing what you're bringing through could be good, but most likely it's not. It's just a gamble, and I don't know that it's a gamble worth taking. So I encourage everybody, I'll never tell someone do this or don't do that. I think we're all adults here. You do your research, you do what feels right for you. Maybe you're a little experimental or curious and you just want to see, but you go into it with I guess knowledge and caution, and do what feels right for you. But that was my experience, and why I share that experience, so others that maybe do feel a little naive to the idea of it don't go down that path. Or if you don't know what you're doing, or how to set protection, or how to ensure that you're only communicating with a high vibe being. Because the other thing that they will do is they will mask themselves as something that they're not. For example, I've had readings where, and I was warned of this early in my mentoring, and I had a couple really great mentors along the way. And I had this experience where you would have someone come through, and it would look like a familiar relative, and you would call them by name. Are you grandma so-and-so? And if they say anything other than yes, then that means they're lying. So even things on the other side, they're so desperate to get through that they will lie, manipulate, and basically trick you. So you welcome them in. And by the time you allow them and permit them into your field, it's too late. So you don't ever want to do that. And always ask. And that'll lead me on to my next thing I wanted to talk about, because like I said, I'm really passionate about the whole opening yourself up and just allowing anything in, because it's really hard too when you are first developing and you are maybe working on your intuitive abilities, or you're working on, maybe you want to practice reading for other people, or do some type of activity like that. Always set protection before you approach any kind of a reading, and it doesn't hurt, and it doesn't even take a lot of time. And I know sometimes we use that term, setting protection, loosely, but what I mean by that is mentally just think to yourself, what is my goal of this and what do I want to do? And for the most part is allow high vibrational beings to come through. Only allow information that is in your highest and best good. You can do something that simple, focus on it, close your eyes, take a few breaths, and then go into what it is that you're doing. Ask your question or go into your meditation anytime that you are relaxing yourself and opening yourself up. Always take that moment beforehand. And it can be something that simple, or you may have a whole prayer that you say. You may go through a whole list of mantras of what you're doing, whether it's protection and guidance or high vibration, whatever it may be, and then go into it. But at minimum, just have something quick that you say. Only highest vibrational spiritual energy is allowed to be within my boundary. Like something like that. It doesn't have to be super fantastical. It just needs to happen. You can think it, you can say it, regardless. It's just so important. And yeah, I'm very passionate about that, and very much wanting to help people, because for me, overcoming the fear in the beginning, that was the hardest part. So developing those mantras and believing what it is that you're saying, that was huge for me and a huge hurdle to overcome when I started to do this on a personal and professional basis. So I always want to share that with people. And if anybody ever has a question, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to either give a little advice or, if need be, set up an appointment and help you work through it. But regardless, I'm always here, and I'm happy to share experiences, advice, and any of those type of things. So I do want to leave you with that. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is for all of you to, be safe over the next couple days. Depending on where you live, we have a lot of nasty weather coming. I know for where I am in the U.S., I think I saw this morning there's like 2,000 miles worth of just horrendous weather around the corner. And I know where I am, the band I'm in, it says 8 to 12 inches of snow within the next day. So I definitely want to wish all of you well and stay safe and be prepared. I've already gotten the text from my electric company to have devices charged and have backup food and have water and all these kind of things. So I'm heeding that warning because I think they already know what they're planning on doing. And I think we have not only winter up here in this United States area, but we have a little bit of weather manipulation at its finest to help provoke a little bit of fear and keep the chaos going. So I definitely want to wish all of you well, and please be safe over the next few days. And having said that, I think maybe now is a good time to stop. But again, please, if you can go in, like my videos, it really does help me out. And I really enjoy these Wednesday live streams. So again, please just let me know if you'd like me to continue doing this on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis. Is noon work for you? I think it's just kind of a fun time, but I'm very flexible too. My goal is to grow this community and get everybody together and just connect, have that energy and have the synergy of all of our minds working together and sharing information. So check me out on Telegram. Don't forget to check out the blog, and I'm on a lot of different platforms. So anyway, I will close out for now. And like I said, be safe, you guys. Love to all of you. Take care. Bye.